Hello, and welcome to episode 25 of Spreading the Nerd, unabashed and unscripted. I am your host yet again this week, Rick, and joining me again this week is Silcanit. Silcanit, how we doing, man? How's it going?
Doing good. Like it's the end of my vacation week to start the year. So Monday is back to work, but I still have tomorrow and Sunday to play games. So it's going well. And you,
Yeah,
sir?
yeah,
You
I
having
know
a
that.
good
I
week?
know that feeling. This week was
Yeah.
my first week back, so I December was a good month because I had the week following Thanksgiving off. So I was like, even though I'm going back, I know in a couple weeks I got 2 weeks off, and then now that that's over, I'm like, yeah, now there's nothing for like 7 months. So
Seven. Oh.
I probably won't take anything else until like Fourth of July week. So maybe a day here or there, but that's it. So it's a long thing for me. Um,
Yeah, that's why I took this week because my last vacations were in August.
yeah, exactly.
So, but usually I try to get at least a week every quarter just to
Mm.
settle down.
Yeah, you know what? I did that for a little while, or not quarter because they changed our vacation way it worked. So prior to this last year, I got basically 3 weeks plus an odd day here or there, or whatever. So I would do it every like, I'm sorry, yeah,
For a
yeah,
month.
yeah. I'm sorry, yeah, it'd be every 4 months, not every quarter. Now I get a little bit more, but I kind of try to backload it, so it does work out that way for me. That it's still long periods before I get any time off. But yeah, it is what it is. I mean, it's by choice. If I wanted to take it now, I could, but then I wouldn't have anything for a very, very long time. Um, but yeah, so what have you been doing? What have you been doing while you're on vacation?
Well, two major things. Watching Awesome Games Done Quick because it's this week and it's
Mhm.
for the Prevent Cancer Foundation. So
In Pittsburgh, in my
it is in
town.
Pittsburgh
Hmm.
live. They have some runs online, like from remote people. Like yesterday, they had people from Singapore showing off a arcade rhythm game.
Mm.
It's mind blowing. Just I put the link of the VOD on Discord. Like just check at least one song. It's like
Hmm.
5 minutes, and
Hmm.
and yeah, there are. Like if you think that FromSoft games are difficult, I have news for you.
Well, they are, but when you're effectively a pro at them, maybe not so much. Then, you know.
Yeah, but rhythm game are another beast altogether.
So,
So that's the first one, and the second
mhm,
one is I'm starting on my backlog, and I started with Mass Effect. So I
mhm.
played Mass Effect 1 and
Hold,
2.
hold that thought. Hold that thought. We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Like
Um,
that's I'm on the trilogy. I finished
mhm,
the first two games. I launched the third like this morning
mhm,
because yesterday I was busy reorganizing all that.
That's actually what I thought you were going to say as your second thing, but um, I
And
do
you,
want to say hi, Nissa, hi, Red Beast. Glad
uh,
to see you guys
I
here.
guess.
Um, yeah, well, well, okay, well, we'll skip straight to it. So I was going to do the what have you been playing? So if you want to talk about Mass Effect now, you can go ahead.
Oh, I mean, what have you been playing too? Like, what
Mhm.
what what happened in your week?
um, yeah, but well, as I mentioned, I think I mentioned it last week that I had restarted remake again. On actually late Sunday. It was like right before I went to bed. I did finish that, and actually, it's remarkable how much you learned having played it before and then having played Rebirth. Because my first time through, I really struggled with. I mean, mild spoiler alerts, I guess, but I really struggled with the what's it called, like the Harbinger of Destiny or whatever, and I really struggled with Sephiroth. Um, I don't think I died. I may have died once on the Harbinger of like, one of the various phases of Harbinger of Destiny. Um, I did have like one like the how there's the phase where they have like a Bahamut version, and you basically have to kill it before it casts its version of Mega Flare or whatever. So I actually failed at that, and it did cast Mega Flare, but my party survived, just not in a very good state. So I really limped through that phase because I constantly had somebody getting downed. But I did make it through, and then I actually, with some difficulty, but I did get Sephiroth without dying. And then I just yesterday I actually finished up the intermission DLC, which I had played before again, but I did decide to do it. And I won't say who it is, but man, I did forget what a pain in the ass the final boss of that is, because he is a bitch. Like you could argue borderline cheap in some ways, like with the last phase of it, but I did get it, so I haven't had a whole lot of chance to dive back into Rebirth yet. Although I have been looking forward to that, as I find Rebirth to be the vastly superior game of the two.
Yeah, that's kind of like
I definitely think it's like, I mean, I loved the way they redid Midgar and stuff like that, but I really think that Rebirth is where the game like turns into what I remember Final Fantasy VII being. And so right now I'm still in the first like half hour of the game, so I'm still in the flashback sequence, which is just masterfully done in my opinion. I mean, it's probably one of the two actually it might be the most iconic part of the original game, and it's easily always been my favorite. Seeing the backstory with Sephiroth, or at least what you think is the backstory with Sephiroth, I always thought was very cool, and I love the way that they did it in the remake, like or the Rebirth rather. I really like how it really does humanize Sephiroth, which is cool, because that's what he was supposed to be, a decent dude that just freaking snapped. And so it's cool,
and I mean, you can't even, when you learn his backstory, you can't really blame him too much either.
Yeah, I mean, without getting into too much detail, and I mean, I guess cover your ears for a second if you don't want to hear it, but he was insanely manipulated to the point he didn't know what the hell was going on. And did you ever play Crisis Core, Silcanit?
Not to completion. I know basically like the
well, because obviously
lines,
the story of what it is. I mean, it's not really its climax, but it's like what do they call it? The
it's pinnacle.
Like, it's like inciting moment or whatever is the flashback sequence, because you're actually playing through the real one there. But leading up to that, obviously, because of what the story is and all that stuff, you obviously get to see a whole lot more of Sephiroth, and you do realize, like, man, this dude actually had it kind of rough. Like, Shinra really took advantage of this guy bad, and I really like that. So I was glad that they carried that over into this project, as they obviously had said they were going to pull from all the other what do they call it, compilation of Final Fantasy VII stuff. And I'm like, I think that's the right way to do it now. You canonize everything now without making some of it like insanely retconned and stuff like that. Like, it all fits so much neater together now, and I like that. I mean, obviously, we discussed this a little bit last week, but the combat in Rebirth is. I liked it in Remake. I know you said you did not, but it's
but
just...
I was, when you said like you didn't die because probably because of your experience with Rebirth. I'm curious to see if I restart a Remake playthrough, if I wouldn't like play better and enjoy more the combat.
Maybe to be fair, a good part of that also is setting up my characters totally differently from how I did. Like my first time through, I was like, all right, Aerith is going to be my like total mage, right? So I loaded her up with every elemental materia, and like that's just not a good way to do it, because you really stymie any ability of giving her like the purple MP ups and magic ups and stuff like that. So I kind of divvied up a little bit better, and it worked out so much better that way. So my characters were much stronger this time around. Like, I actually was probably in Remake I was probably about the same level, because I still did all the side quests and stuff, but I didn't really do a ton of grinding or anything like that. But they definitely held their own far better than I did in my first playthrough. So
yeah, like I was watching AGQ this morning, and they had like 6 Final Fantasy VII Rebirth speedrun, 6 hour, and that's when you see like when you put the right material on the right people, and like the attacks, you just destroy them. Like at the end, he did a showcase of the rulers of the outer world,
Mhm.
So it's like on the Chadley VR stuff, like
Mhm.
the series of combat with the two icons each
Mhm.
and Sephiroth at the end,
Mhm.
and they didn't touch him.
Really?
Like, I don't know, 6 minutes and he was done.
I we're still talking about Rebirth, right? You said that's
On
Rebirth. You said
Rebirth,
it was.
yeah.
Yeah, I actually didn't even do those. I do
Me
know
neither.
that
It's like,
some people said some of those late ones were really really hard. So I mean, I realize you're saying they just bowled through it, but I had seen people say like they had a hell of a time with some of those. As you can see, we've got a bit of a no show showing up in our chat here. Clint, who couldn't be with us for one reason or another, is in there, making comments about your bookshelves.
yeah,
For those who don't know, I'm
these are,
kidding. He's a valid reason to not be here,
yeah, yeah.
and he should be back next week.
But I can talk about my bookshelves if you want. But
But by all
I mean,
means, I
for
mean, you
audio
put a lot.
listeners, it's not going to be that interesting. But
You put some effort into it.
yeah. What I did was I bought three like almost identical of these ones
Mhm.
to put in my living room. So I moved all my like novels, comic books, like odds and ends over there,
Mhm.
and I dedicate this one to gaming and art books. So on top are art books. There's Ghibli, Sea of Stars, Sea of Thieves, etc. I have a small small one for like CDs, Metaphor, Fantasio,
Hold
Tooth.
on, I'll see if I can actually make you. Oh, no, I want to do. That is not what I want. I want to do the other one. I was trying to make your.
Yeah. Maybe
I don't
I
know.
have to do
I
it.
don't know how to do this. I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm doing. So I guess we'll have to go back to how it was. Oh,
Maybe
still
I have
isn't it
to do
right?
it.
Okay.
Maybe I have to
Yeah.
present.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah. See if you can.
Uh,
Are you able to click one?
no. I can present something like.
Let's see. Oh, here we go.
Oh,
That's
there
how
you
I
go.
do.
Okay,
Hang
so
on.
yeah, these are my art books. These are my little, like, small props. So there's Metaphor, there's uh, Sayonara Wild Art tarot deck.
Mm-hmm.
There's FromSoft shelves.
Mm-hmm.
There will be grace given here.
So you actually have a spot for it, whereas I do
Yeah,
not.
it's here. It's the spot. It's the middle one too. So it's like on the shelf. That's like part like of the structure,
Mm-hmm.
of the
Mm-hmm.
bookshelf. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just on little like plots.
Mm-hmm.
You have like the Starfield, the best Final Fantasies.
I was about to say those are import Final
Yep.
Fantasies, aren't they? Or
No,
those are
no.
Jap?
Well, import yes because they're from Europe, but
Oh,
for
they're the
me
French
they are
version.
not.
Okay, I gotcha. I was
They're
thinking
not
they were the
import for
Japanese.
me either.
I
The one I
was
played
thinking they
on.
might have been the Japanese versions.
Yeah, there's and other like physical games I have. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that much because all my old stuff either got sold at some point or another. And then when I came to Quebec, I switched to digital mostly. And the other one is all my mangas
Yeah, I see that.
and
With some Baldur's Gate at the bottom.
Baldur's Gate and Shadow of the Erdtree at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
You and what you can't really see, but these are double rows and on
Mm-hmm.
top of each other.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and like I'll show you because that's one of the best thing I found in France during my vacation. If you like Berserk,
Oh, you dropped something. Something fell on the floor.
oh okay. So when I was in France, the volume 42 of Berserk came out, and
Mm-hmm.
they had a collector's edition with a tarot deck, and they have like these really cool Berserk themed tarot cards.
Are those actually in French? Like you actually got
Yes,
them in French?
yes.
Okay.
They have the same meaning, because it's the
Well, right,
numbers
right.
are what they are.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's in French. Well, all that shelf is in French.
Oh, okay. Oh, those are actually French mangas, huh? Or
Yeah,
mangas.
only the Berserk ones are in
Mm.
English because that
Oh, okay.
was easier to find all the volumes in one edition.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, all that is in French.
Damn it. Hold on. Still trying to figure this out. Sorry.
So now I have room, like, because that was the point. Because
There we go.
for a long time I stopped buying books and mangas because I couldn't put them anywhere. I
Yeah.
didn't have the shelf space,
Yeah.
and now I have. So now I'm spending a lot of money.
Yeah. I mean, what I have is over there. At one point, that was quite organized, but I have so much stuff now and nowhere to put it that it's like all my strategy guides there. Those were pretty organized, but down below there, it kind of became a however I could just fit it.
Well, mine are not like super organized. I just keep the series like uh, as much as I can, because some are really long, so
Yeah. Right.
they can't fit in one row. But
Mm,
I keep the series together, but I didn't like do alphabetical order or anything. It's
mm.
just
Yeah. See, I'm crazy, so I definitely did where possible. All my every game I have, of which you can't see most of them, but there's a lot. It's just PS5. They're all in alphabetical order. All my guides are in alphabetical order. I actually have a lot more guides than that I had to put downstairs because I don't have anywhere to put them. But those are mostly the ones of either. I mean, future press guides are nice, so I tend to keep them up here. Excluding the Bloodborne guide and the Hunter's guide, which is kind of rare, but I moved those down because I got the what do they call it, the collector's guide or whatever that puts both of them together, like the reprint that they did recently. But I got all my Elden Ring ones up there and stuff like that. I don't have a ton of manga because, like I said, I don't really read much, but I do have a couple. You can't see them because of the chair, but I actually have volumes 1 through 7 of Grand Blue Fantasy because that's actually kind of a cool little manga. And then they're back behind here, but I have, you can just kind of barely see it right there. I have I don't even know how many it is, but it's I want to say 6 editions of the hardcover like collector's versions of Battle Angel Alita.
yeah. Well, I have them just there.
Okay.
It's not the collector edition, but they are there.
Yeah, Krista and I, when that movie came out, we went to see it. I actually really liked it to the point I ended up getting some of the mangas, or not some. I got the mangas
and the Last Order too, like the continuation of the story.
Okay, yeah. I have it's 5 issues for the actual, or I say issues, it's 5 books for the actual like story, but then there was like one more of something else, and I have that as well.
That's like part of what I ordered today because they didn't have it in the bookstore. It's the Akira, the Akira collection that I don't have. So
the one other thing I have, and you can see it, but you can't tell what they are, is so I'm a big fan of the show Avatar: The Last Airbender. I do have all of the comics of that and Legend of Korra, because they're like actual canonical continuations of the stories and stuff like that. So, but I'm even running out of room for them. So you were saying about Mass Effect. Let's talk about Mass Effect.
Mass Effect, the one of the big franchises that I didn't touch until now because I was not like either gaming or I was just in World of Warcraft when it came out, so it just slipped me by. So I'm catching up. My first impression, and that's one thing I wish people would talk about when they talk about the Mass Effect trilogy. It's part of my preconception. For me, BioWare is an RPG developer on PC. Mass Effect is not an RPG.
To be fair, they have not been in some time.
Yes, but from what I played Baldur's Gate, I played Dragon Age.
You are defining as an RPG. They have not been that in quite some time.
Well, what I played from them are the Baldur's Gate, the Dragon Age Origins, Dragon Age Inquisition, and Veilguard, which are pretty much RPGs.
See, I would consider all 3. But to be clear, I actually do consider Mass Effect an RPG. Maybe not 3.
1. I would
maybe
say.
Not 3, but 1 and 2 I still think are, because I mean it's still very heavy. Well, I mean even 3 is pretty heavy story based, but 3 is obviously more of the consequences, ramifications.
It depends what you refer to as RPG. For me,
exactly,
RPGs you have to manage a bit of your team and your gear and your stat and your build. You do that in 1. because you have to choose your weapon, your mod, and on all party members. Not too much in 2. You don't even have like gun stats. It's just a like feeling based on how they
Yeah,
fire.
when it comes to the guns with your party members, it's more, at least with 2.
Even for you, like on 2, like there's no gun statistics. There's no damage
it's more
numbers.
about how the specific gun functions in comparison
Yes.
to others in its class. Yes,
Yes.
but actually, I like that change. I actually liked how it wasn't just a skin change; they actually
Like
functioned differently.
it's just I wish people would talk about the gameplay of Mass Effect when they talk about it, but each time I hear someone talk about it, it's the best story, the greatest companions, choice matters, sci-fi, and they never talk about the gameplay.
Well, I mean, outside of Mass Effect 1, most people, as far as I could tell, do actually tend to like. I can't say most people.
No.
The people
It's
that
just
talk
not that they like or don't like. They just never talk about it.
yeah.
They'd always refer to the story and the companions, and they never tell you it's a cover shooter.
Yeah. I mean, technically, even the first one was, but you're right. I mean, the first one was the most RPG-ish in terms of like stats and stuff like that, for sure. But the first one also, by the same token, as you're aware, even having just played the second one, also is almost an objectively worse playing game. Not talking about the story of that, just the simple moment to moment gameplay. I mean, it is.
Yeah, I mean,
I think objectively vastly improved.
I mean, I won't talk about the story because I've pretty much everyone except me knows about the story and likes it, and I love
except
it.
me. I know the story. I love the story.
No. I mean, what I say is like everybody knows the story at this point except me, and loves it, and I love it. Like that's why I won't talk about that because I'm on the same page as everyone on that.
I will
But
be
the gameplay.
Yeah, go ahead.
The gameplay is boring. I'm sorry, but even on 2, like when people complain about Veilguard being boring after 30 hours because that's what you do for the next 30 hours, like they clearly don't remember Mass Effect 2. Because in 10 minutes, when you import your save from Mass Effect 1, because you get a boost on levels, you get your abilities, and that's it. Like you might have like one type of ammo, 2 if you switch, and 2 abilities.
Well, it also depends what class you're playing, to be fair. I believe if you play I think the soldier gets all 3. They may not get cryo, but I think they might get all 3 things. But that also, now playing as a soldier, you are playing as a straight
I played
third-person
Vanguard,
shooter,
and
which
I
is
put points in charge at the start.
Mm-hmm.
Then I switched to Shockwave because I was dying too much on charging into the enemy. And that's it. And you shoot and you use one ability. So when people like complain about Veilguard combat being boring and not evolving, I'm sorry. Like, just I want to see Mass Effect 2 reviews from these people.
So to be clear, I have never made that complaint about Veilguard.
I know you don't.
I know. But the biggest issue with Veilguard that I mean, you're clearly saying you don't agree, but I don't agree with you here. I thought that Veilguard did not have enough enemy types, which largely is the complaint leveling against it. And I think Mass Effect does a way better job with that, particularly in 3. There's a lot of enemy types in 3.
Maybe in 3. In 2, like, you have humans and Geth.
Well, I mean, maybe not
collectors.
Different races and stuff. I mean, if you do races, though, you do actually fight most of the main ones. But I don't know. I mean, I like 3. Here's another area, and I mean, I could be wrong on this, but I've said in the past, like, I think people that, just as an example, when people say that, like, The Last of Us, for example, has, like, boring gameplay and stuff like that, I'm like, well, did you play it on easy? Because if you play it on easy, yeah, I can see that. I know you played this on normal.
On normal.
Okay, yeah. I actually have always found Mass Effect, but again, it's just me. I found it better on higher difficulties because it makes you play a lot smarter. And that's even with a Vanguard. Like my main character is always a Vanguard. Who the whole point of playing a Vanguard is you're not smart, you're stupid, right? You're rushing into battle using the violent charge with that. But I loved using, if I had Liara with me or whatever, having her biotic lift, and then I would charge in and do the detonation, and then I'd have my shotgun, so I'd have the charge leveled up to the point that it did the like slow down or whatever. So
Yeah, that's what I took too.
Like it actually created like a pretty cool dynamic, and on higher difficulties, you do got to be careful because you can die pretty quickly, especially on Insanity. You die really fast on Insanity. So that may play a role. I'm not saying for sure that it does, but it might. It definitely makes you approach things differently for sure. And I think maybe that's the difference. Since I never played it on normal, I started on is it hardcore? Is that the name of the hard difficulty?
I don't remember.
I think it is. Insanity is the hardest. I never played on Insanity first. But I started on a hardcore or whatever it was called, and I mean it was tough. I mean it was really hard.
Yeah, I know I wouldn't have the best patience like on combat for that, on that type of combat, because that's not my preferred genre. So
yeah, I get it. Yeah, I mean I've always been a shooter guy, so
yeah, I mean shooter. It's because it's it's the slow approach of taking cover, picking. Like firing once or twice, cover. When you have enough abilities, like you can that's why I like the shockwave. You can throw it from cover. It goes into the ground and you're safe.
What do you call them? Like party member ability did you take?
So at first, I took the armor piercing rounds.
Okay.
Then
that's from Garrus, I believe. Is that correct?
Garrus, yes. Okay. After that, I tried the biotic slam because you said like you liked it. It's a fun one, but I thought it would do more damage. It was a bit weak on damage.
The
utility is great.
It's more dealing with the detonation. That was why I went with it.
Okay, and I ended up with the barrier. Like to come
barrier. Is that what you
said? Yes, to come back to the frontally. My preferred way of playing this game. You put up your barrier and you just go in and kill stuff. You don't take cover anymore. So I removed the part of the gameplay that I don't like with the barrier, and I was really happy.
Now, this is something that a lot of people I know didn't even notice that this was a thing. But to be fair, a lot of people I know also played as like a tech thing. Did you notice that you can? But this is in 2, not in the first one. If you have like an enemy behind cover, put like the crosshair over them, even if you're not actually shooting at them. Did you know that you can arc biotics around cover and stuff like that? Now it doesn't do like a 90-degree thing, but you can actually arc it around. It's actually kind of a cool thing.
Well, I noticed that the shockwave can like target someone behind cover.
Right. So yeah, that's not what I'm talking about. But you're right. It can.
I didn't do any I didn't have like the warp. The
lift is specifically the one that I've seen do it for sure.
Lift. Yeah, I used shockwave and charge mostly.
Gotcha.
Charge has some weird stuff with the doorways also.
Yeah.
Even if the door is open, sometimes you can't aim through that. It's a bit. But sometimes it's great because even when they are behind like a semi cover, when you have to crouch behind, if they are up, you can charge on them above the. So that was fun.
So how much of 3 have you played? Are you still on Earth?
I just I landed on Mars.
Okay. So you're on the first main one.
And I know a Dr. Eva Kor is a bad guy from Cerberus.
3 actually did something pretty cool that I like. Now, again, 3 is probably the least RPG of them, but it's in a way though it also lets you play more how you want than even the other 2. So, and for those who don't know, okay, in not Bioshock, Mass Effect 1, you pick your class, and your class has whatever kind of weapons they can use, right? So in our case, Vanguard, pistols and shotguns, and that's it. The exception being when you finish the game, if you got...
Well, no, in 1, you can use every weapon.
Well, you can... I'm sorry. You're right. I'm sorry. But you can't aim with them. No. That's they changed. They
You
changed
don't
it in
have the
Legendary
proficiency
Edition.
stats.
They changed it in the Legendary Edition. You can't aim. In the original version of the game, you could not aim if you did not have training in it. However, there is an exception to that. When you get the achievement or trophy or what you want to do for whatever that weapon class is, on a new game plus, you can train in an extra skill. And it can be a weapon if you got that, right? So what I always did, my main character was Vanguard, and then my secondary character, I did the opposite. I did a female or a femme chef infiltrator, which is as different of a class as you can get from the Vanguard, right? It's totally opposite. But I would give her assault rifle training so that I actually had more options. But so anyway, so pistol, that, and then you're right. You can use them, but you can't train in them, right? And then they take away the ability to even train in a weapon in 2. But in 2, it locks you to using those weapon classes. However, at one point late in the game, you can choose between, depending what you're playing. If you're playing as a soldier who can already use all the weapons, you can pick a way more powerful assault rifle. The Revenant, I believe, is the name. A way more powerful shotgun, Claymore, I think it's like a Krogan shotgun, or a way more powerful sniper rifle. So you can just, if you are anybody else, you can pick. If you have one of those classes or one of those weapons abilities, I mean, you could use that weapon, or you can learn one of the other 2 weapon classes. So I always took assault rifle because I wanted to use assault rifle.
That's
they
what
changed.
I did too.
Yeah, they changed how that works in 3, and I actually like what they did in 3. Everybody right off the start can use whatever. It doesn't matter. However, every weapon has a weight associated to it. Obviously, the better the weapon, the heavier it is, and the more weight it has, the longer your cooldown penalty will be. So, for example, if you're an adept or Vanguard or whatever, and you're biotics focused, if you carry just like a pistol, you can fire off biotics almost nonstop because they recharge so quickly.
Oh, that's interesting because
it's a very good system. But obviously, the better the weapon, typically the heavier it is. So then it starts to slow it down. So it becomes a nice balancing act of, do I want to use a better, like I actually always like the Revenant because it functions more like an actual assault rifle than some of the other ones, but it's pretty much the heaviest assault rifle you can get outside of a couple crazy ones. So I would use that, whereas I would then use like the lightest pistol I would use, and I would never use submachine guns and stuff like that just to help, trickle it down. And I liked it. I actually thought it was a really good system that they did, and I'd kind of hoped in the Legendary Edition they would find a way to implement that into 2, but they didn't.
No, they didn't, and that's bring me to and we can switch to other stuff after that. But one of my biggest complaints on the combat in 1 and 2 is each ability has its own cooldown timer, like duration. But they are all on the same global timer.
In 2, that is correct. Yes, it's not in 1, but it is in 2.
Yeah. Okay. So you launch your barrier at the start of the fight, and it has like a 10-second cooldown, so you can't do shit for 10 seconds.
I think adding the detonations is why they did that, because you would be able to just string together, like if you were a biotic, you'd be able to just string together your biotics then and just detonate stuff yourself.
Yeah, but that would make a bit more dynamic. or maybe just put a longer duration on each, like.
Yeah, the first time I played Mass Effect 2 at launch, that did confuse me. I'm like, why can't I use my thing? And then I realized using 1 puts everything on a recharge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. And
even after like 25 or 27 hours at the end of Mass Effect 2, I was still trying to use other skills, and they were on cooldown because I changed my ammo type.
Actually, ammo I don't think should trigger the recharge.
No, it's everything.
But
the ammo one, the duration of the cooldown is like super quick.
Okay, maybe that's why I'm thinking of it then.
So it's
and also
really notice it.
Since it doesn't wear off, I would almost always turn it on immediately. I only have
that's what
incendiary. I would do it as soon as the mission started anyway, and I'd never have to do it anyhow.
Yeah, that's why also I kind of like straight line to the squad ammo also, so everyone gets it. And
yeah, I'll be interested to see what you think of 3, because 3 is 3 is different by the very nature of what it is. Since you're in wartime the entire time, it functions quite differently than 1
Well,
and 2.
for one, there's one thing that it's a quality of like it's a change on their camera, because in 1 and 2, like especially in 1 and still a fair bit in 2, the camera is tied to Shepard movements when
Mhm.
she because I
It,
didn't
it,
finish
it's
it.
it is a little more pulled back in the third one. Yeah.
So it's really tied to that movement.
Mhm.
So when you vault or when you sprint, the camera is swaying
Mhm.
a lot, and for me, it kind
Yeah,
of
I know you said you're not a big fan
kind
of
of
that.
nauseating. So
Yeah.
I played 2 never sprinting, but I tried it on 3, and 3, like, I don't know if it's because it's farther or if they really like decoupled the two,
Yeah, I think it's maybe a little bit of both.
a bit of
Because,
both. So now you can sprint and your camera stays
mm,
focused straight. So that's a big
mm,
improvement. And you have in 3 what I didn't like in 2, and I was using Outriders. You can look at another cover point
yes,
and
yeah,
roll or sprint to it
yeah,
right away. And I think that's going to change a lot of my appreciation for the combat.
yeah. Well, I mean, in terms of like combat mechanics, 3 is easily the best of the series. I'd say.
I mean,
Yeah.
and it's natural too. Like first one is 2007, and the 3 is
Mm-hmm.
2012, I think.
13, I think. I thought 12 was no 2011 was 2. So yeah, I want to say it's 2. I think I want to say it's 13.
13, yeah. So even then, like it's like
Mm.
6, 7 years.
Oh yeah.
So
Well, and being is that there's a lot of combat in 2. There's probably even more in 3. Just again, you're in wartime the whole time, so they really did put an effort into improving the combat mechanics as
yeah,
well as a lot of verticality in 3, which is not in either one of the other ones at all.
yeah, you have to jump,
Hmm.
and I also didn't notice any stamina like in 1 and 2. I sprint a lot, and I didn't get
Yeah,
fatigued.
I think they may have removed that.
So
Um, yeah, but well,
so
yeah,
we'll
like
see.
yeah.
I have 3 weeks to play it before Citizen Sleeper 2 comes out, and bye
One
bye
one
backlog.
one thing that I can't say I have it as a complaint because I'm crazy and always buy all of it anyway. But one thing that I thought was weird is I truly believe that more than 1 and 2, well, 1 only had one true piece of DLC, and 2 had a couple, like the one of which obviously sets up 3, and the other of which, excuse me, being Lair the Shadow Broker. That admittedly, like the Liara storyline was bizarre without that there. But it just at the time it just seemed like it was something that was going to be addressed in 3. 3 really seems like a massively incomplete game without 2 pieces of DLC. Um, one of them I will. It's called Omega, but that's all I'll say. Because again, it's just like this open thread that's like what the hell until that came out. The other one is called Leviathan, and actually, I'm sorry. There's 3 of them. The other one I'll get you because actually the other one you're not too far away from. Leviathan is late game, like probably do it right before the final thing. But the reality is Leviathan has pretty much the backstory of Mass Effect 3. So it's like it was weird that it wasn't there. And then the other one, and this one, I don't know if you ever followed it when Mass Effect 3 came out. This created a lot of issues with people because it was a day one DLC. It's called From Ashes, and it is basically your 7th, I think it would be, party member. And this party member, without saying who it is, do yourself a favor. Do not look at the
I haven't.
outline. Yeah, yeah. Well, you probably couldn't yet anyway, but don't look at the outlines at least until you get this. The character's name is Javik. I'll just tell you that. Until you get Javik, don't look at the outlines because it'll probably spoil what the character is. And it's a pretty interesting thing. It doesn't quite. I can't say much, but it doesn't quite do what people thought it would. But still, it's very. It's probably something that should have been included in the game, and then maybe something else taken out and put it if they wanted to do it that way. But either way, without those, and then now the one that everyone likes is Citadel. And Citadel is good and fun, but the reality is Citadel isn't like an important part of the story. Whereas I argue From Ashes and especially Leviathan 100% are like when I played Leviathan, I'm like, yeah, this should have been there because this tells the entire backstory of something, which is kind of relevant. But that's all I'll say because I don't want to spoil anything.
Well, I'm playing on the Legendary Edition, so they're probably
right.
rare
It's in there.
anyway.
Yeah, it's in there.
So
I'm more talking about when the game came out. Initially.
because like I did Overlord and Lair of the Shadow Broker.
Mhm.
I didn't know there were DLC. For me, they were just
was
assignments. And like
I don't remember.
so I was going
was
through them.
Overlord DLC? I actually don't remember.
Yes.
Okay.
I checked because at some point I was like,
I knew
makes me angry.
I knew Firewalker was because Firewalker was like this was from the day when everything had an online pass. If you remember, Firewalker was the game's version of an online pass, basically.
Okay, even that.
But all right, well,
so
moving on. Our
I'm angry at Overlord. But...
Yeah, our topics today are mostly going to revolve around kind of news that's mostly popped up the last 2 or 3 days. So the big one, as referenced in the episode name, is the Xbox Developer Direct, which was dated for 25th. Does that sound right?
In 2 weeks. Yeah.
2 weeks. Okay. Microsoft announced that it will focus on Doom Eternal, not Doom Eternal, Doom: The Dark Ages will be the main one, hence the episode name.
South of Midnight.
Yes, thank you. South of Midnight and
Clair Obscur.
Sorry,
Clair Obscur.
Yes,
Expedition 33.
Yes. I kept forgetting that one for some because I keep thinking of their first party games, and then a secret one, which there's been numerous leaks, rumors, whatever you want to call it, as to what they are. To the point now, I don't know what it. Like I thought I knew what it was before, but there's been so many different rumors. I don't know now.
Yeah, I mean, I like from the last stuff I saw, I wanted to meme about like Silksong, but like I think it's Xbox Era had a line about visiting a new place to see a new IP from a studio. So it can't be Silksong because it's not really a new IP. It's Hollow Knight. Silksong.
Did it say new IP? I thought it just said surprise.
I think the line I saw said new IP in a new location or something like that.
Keep talking. I'll look it up. Hold on.
So I can't. I can't even meme on Silksong, but I was thinking, like I saw someone else talk about it. Maybe it would be Toys for Bob. If they have a new studio, because they were mostly remote, if I remember, and when they left, they might have like regrouped in a new place. And we know they are working on stuff for Xbox. Like they are not Xbox owned anymore, but they're still working for them.
Yes, it seems like Xbox is publishing whatever they're working on.
So I'm kind of hopeful for that because that means more 3D platformer.
Yeah,
everybody wins.
I'm always good with that. I still haven't found this. Just give me one
more. Because I think it was the new location that like tripped me off because you could go like Double Fine, Toys for Bob, Sorry Baden, not Bloodborne 2. Sony now that Sony owns like 10.11% of Kadokawa, you can be as hell sure that Bloodborne's not coming to Xbox ever.
Okay, so what they said was it will be a surprise location to see another studio's brand new game. So it does not say anything about being a new location.
Okay. So I have the order of the worlds kind of mixed up.
Yeah. Because I'll say what has been heavily suggested that it might be is it's not really a rumor because they basically leaked it themselves, but the assumed Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion remake, remaster, whatever you want to call it. And I kind of still am leaning on that probably being it because I would think that would be an early game as opposed to a later one.
Yeah.
But
it's not a new game though.
No, but also bear in mind, so it's not Bethesda themselves making it. At least that's not been the rumor. The rumor is it's been Virtuous Studio, which makes sense. I mean, that
that's
Virtua
a good
Studio,
thing.
it is. Well, yeah, but also this Virtua Studio is a good studio. Like there was a lot of criticism about when it was announced that they were the ones doing the Metal Gear remake, the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. But the reality is, like, they're a studio that knows what they're doing. They're not typically ones that make their own thing, but they are a like sub-licensed, or what do you want to call it, studio, a contracted studio. They were the ones that made this most recent update for Cyberpunk, and they seem to hint that they'll be doing more since CD Projekt Red had basically said that 2.1 was their last one. They've hinted that maybe working with Virtuous, they'll have some more things to announce in the future. So obviously they know what they're doing, or they wouldn't have picked them for a big game like Cyberpunk, right? I mean, obviously we can't necessarily trust Konami, so they may have picked them not knowing what they're doing, but they clearly know what they're doing with Bloober, contrary to what all of us, including me, thought for Silent Hill. So, well, let's go to it. Let's start with Doom: The Dark Ages. That seems to be kind of what is their headliner here, because it's one they really like put first and foremost.
It's the first one on top. So,
yeah. Because it's, if you look at it at what we know is coming from Xbox, specifically from Xbox this year, not counting Call of Duty, Doom is probably their biggest game. They announced right off the bat that was a multi-platform game. I mean, Doom is a obviously massive IP. What do you think?
I think we have a date.
I
get a date for it.
Where do you think it's going to fall in, like date-wise?
Well, as far as I remember, like a lot of the time, the dev direct games are like in the 6 months kind of like period, unless they're pushed back. But usually they're on in 6 months, in the first half of the year.
Yeah, I think
we already have Avowed for February.
Correct. Although, yeah, they did show Avowed last year, and it's a year, so that's not necessarily completely accurate.
True.
But
they pushed it. Like it was supposed to be like October.
Yeah, it did get delayed. It did get delayed. Yeah,
it got delayed, and that's a good thing. So we don't really have any. I think South of Midnight is Q1.
We don't know. I think it will be, but we do not know.
Okay, so because I think South of Midnight comes before Doom. So I think it's about South of Midnight, Doom, February.
Sorry. Say that one more time. What did you say first?
Avowed in February.
Right.
We have a date, so that's there. Right. I think South of Midnight, April, May. Doom for the summer.
Okay.
Like end June, start July.
That's actually June is kind of what I was thinking. So that we're in agreement there.
Yeah, and Fable for September.
I don't think Fable's coming this year. I think they're saying it is. I don't think it is.
That's the biggest question mark.
I'm genuinely convinced that game is not as far along as
because apart from that, like we know of, there's like Clockwork Revolution, and we haven't seen anything.
Yeah, we don't even have a year for that though. I don't believe
that one's not for this year. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's a 26 game almost for sure.
Perfect Dark didn't have a year either.
Perfect Dark doesn't have a decade.
I mean, no, like it has a decade. It's in 2020s.
Like, is it? Well, we'll see. Because I'm not even convinced that's going to be this freaking generation.
Yeah, well, next generation is still before 2030. So.
Yeah, well, it doesn't mean it's only before 2030. No, I mean I'm kidding, but no, I'll be flabbergasted if Perfect Dark comes out before like 2028.
I don't know. Like 26 seems like a good year for it. Like from what we saw, like on the gameplay trailer last time, it's not too far.
But no, I'm probably in pretty well agreement with you on the order of things. Like I said, I'm not convinced we're going to see Fable this year, but I do believe that's.
I'm not convinced, but if it comes out this year, I slot it like for the end of the year.
Yeah, I do agree with your order of things though. I mean, obviously, it'd be damn near impossible to put something out before Avowed because Avowed's only like 4 weeks away.
Yeah.
Oh, and actually, you forgot one. What's it called? They confirmed it's coming out this year. Outer Worlds 2.
Oh yeah, that was that too.
That I'll guess is like a September-ish. So I'm gonna slot that one in there.
And it feels like a full game.
Yeah, and you said May for South of Midnight. That strikes me as they do seem to like that May slot, but that strikes me as a late April game. So we'll say late April, early May, somewhere in that range. I
yeah,
think
the thing is, like, my perception of that game, it's a spring game for me, like in my head.
No,
I don't know why. And like in my part of the world where I live, spring is in May because we still have snowstorm in April.
Oh, really? Oh, I thought you meant France. You're talking about in Canada, where you live.
Yeah, no,
okay.
where I live, winter likes to stay a bit longer.
Yeah. Well, being right on the river doesn't help, I'm sure. That probably makes it way worse too. Yeah, no, I'm in agreement with you. Otherwise, like I said, just slot in Outer Worlds there, and I think I was thinking probably June for Doom.
Yeah.
That seems like the kind of game to go like, hey, we're going to release that right after the Xbox showcase or whatever. You know, they have a big showing of it and go like, hey, this is coming out in 2 weeks now. Which, I mean, we already we would have had the date by then, but it's just like, hey, this is, we're really focused on this.
Yeah. The thing is, like, they don't have like large games coming. Like Avowed is what, 20? Like, from what I hear, 20 hours.
I thought they said
15,
that was about
20.
30 to 40. It's not like Skyrim huge, but it's
no, I think it's more 20, around 20.
Look, I thought they said it was longer.
And like South of Midnight, I don't see it going like bigger than 20,
30 to 40 hours worth. Or I'm sorry, never mind. This is something different. This is somebody talking.
I mean, the thing with Avowed is you can replay it. There's probably a lot of replay values for like new choices, new approaches.
Apparently, they are estimating 30 to 40 hours. Now, I don't. That doesn't necessarily mean just the story. That might be including side quests and stuff too, because it's
completionist.
It's probably not going to be as open as Elder Scrolls.
No.
But it's also not going to be a linear game either. It's going to give you some freedom.
From what they said, it's kind of the same structure as Outer Worlds 1. Like, it's like
correct.
Semi-open. Like, you go in one area, like maybe one island or continent, and you have like fairly sizable space where you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, it's instead of being like one giant thing, it's more like a bunch of small, decent-sized locations.
Yeah. So South of Midnight, same. It's not really that, like, it's not a huge 100 hour or something.
Yeah, I mean that I estimate 15 hours maybe.
Outer Worlds 2, same. That will be like
that'll be the same size as Valve, probably.
Same size. Yeah. Doom are never really that long.
Eternal was pretty long though, actually, especially compared to 2016. Eternal was
for a Doom, longer. But like in the gaming space,
it's still a first-person shooter. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be Oblivion. It's not going to be
No,
Cyberpunk.
That's it. So they can have them like close together, like not too far apart. People always say, "Oh, you need to let game time to breathe and get their audience and give a chance to people to play them, etc." But if you release one of these games every 2-3 months, it's good. Like, it's okay.
The problem is this was maybe not the right year to start doing it that way. Like it's obviously what everybody was gearing up for, and I am not just referring to Grand Theft Auto, even though that obviously is a part of it. But this is a busy year where it will be tough to really like cannibalize people's time, because there's a lot of big games coming out this year. No matter what genre you want, there's something big coming out this year for you. Doesn't mean we're not going to try, but I'm just saying it might not have been the best year to try it.
They're all coming to Game Pass though, so
yeah. I mean, whatever's on the
for people, like, it's just like at least with Game Pass, you remove the money investment a lot. It's just a matter of time now. So that's what they can bet on.
So next up, we have Expedition 33, which, as I remember, a few months back, you said you would tell us how to pronounce that name, and you never did.
Clair Obscur.
Oh, okay. That's actually how I thought it was. Okay. When you said that, I assumed it was like pronounced a way that I would not expect because it was in French.
No. It's just like the obscure, It's like a
Mm,
U. It's not a U. It's not obscure.
gotcha.
It's
Gotcha.
obscure. But
Obscure.
Claire, you can just think of the name. Like Claire. What is it in Resident Evil? Redfield? No, not
What Resident,
Redfield.
what Resident Evil? Like Claire
Yeah,
Redfield?
Redfield.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
She's Chris's sister, yeah.
yeah, okay. Yeah, that's why I was like, that's Chris' name. Like, is it really the same surname?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. You just think of it over Claire.
Okay.
It's
Yeah. Just when you had said that, I was like, oh, this must not be pronounced the way that it's spelled. So that's exactly how I thought it'd be pronounced. So okay.
yeah, no, it's because like some people like Luke Law and Daddy Diwali want to remove Claire Obscure from the title because
I'm
they
going to
can't.
assume that that's an important part of the title, actually.
Yes,
Like it's clearly
it's the whole subject
a
of the
reference
game.
to someone or something.
They just wanted Expedition 33
But that's a
because
boring ass name.
that's a name they can pronounce in English,
Yeah.
and they don't want to learn 2 words in French.
Do you think we get a release date for that? Because I think for sure we do.
Yes, I
Because
do because
I am going to guess that is also a fairly like soon game since that was
yes,
not
because
Xbox.
if I let me open the Steam page, but I think somewhere it said Q1 or Q2, and that
Q2, I believe. So I think that's what what's the studio's name? Sandrock or something like that.
Soundfall.
Okay, I believe that's what they said. I think they said Q2.
Yeah, so Q2 is kind of soon.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so because it's April, start of April,
Mm-hmm.
April, May, June. So
yeah, I'm gonna guess that that's a May game. I bet. I think that one comes in May.
yeah, if I were them, I wouldn't release a game in May because they're in France and that's a heavy month of bank holidays.
Oh, really?
So if they want to spend a good time for that,
Mm-hmm.
if I were them, I'd wait a bit in case like they have patch to update etc. But it's not an online game, so at least you have a bit more leeway on that.
If I am not mistaken, I believe that they have also announced that is not a full priced game. I think they said it's $49.99.
Yeah, 50 US.
Which is interesting because it certainly has the
yes, because they know that also like we think of it like because that's an RPG.
Oh, sure. Yeah. It's very much a JRPG that's not made in Japan.
Yeah. But they also were really clear that it's not a long game. It's a 30-40 hour game.
Right. Which is funny because that used to be pretty long for a JRPG, but nowadays it's not. Now JRPGs are upwards to 100 hours now.
When I checked last time, not long ago, I checked when I replayed the original FF7 on PS4 to get all the achievements.
Yeah, that's about 30 to 40
and
hours.
All the achievements, platinum, took me 35 hours.
you did, to be fair, know what you were doing. It wasn't like
I knew what I was doing. I was not like
first time through that game is about 40 hours long.
Yeah, it's not that.
And if you pound through it, you can really do it in like 25.
Yeah. Mainline.
6 is actually a good bit longer than 7. But I'm actually excited to see more about that. So as we know, I had a strange in comparison to you guys take on it. Where I mean, from day one, I was excited about that. I thought that game looked very cool. But was it like 10 minutes of gameplay or whatever that everyone else thought looked cool? I kind of was like, ugh. That's not really so much for me, but it did not take away my excitement or looking for the game. I just did not particularly care for what we saw. But I like, I really like what they said the story is about and all that stuff. Like that's a cool idea. And I've been a major proponent saying like I do want to start seeing. I mean, not like France is an unheard of area for games to come from. I mean, Asobo is pumping out games like left and right anymore. But like I've always said like I do want to see games coming from different. I mean, Europe would be the region, but different, specific like cultures and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm with you on that. Like with the Black Myth Wukong coming out, like even if I didn't really vibe with the combat,
sure, I want to see I want to see
that story. Like the
absolutely. Like I am glad now. I mean, I've obviously given Sony a lot of criticism, and rightly so, for a lot of things, but. I do credit them for looking at areas that people are not looking at. And I mean, not like China was an unheard of market, but it was not a popular market for what they're trying to do now, which is single player games like that. They were much bigger in the free to play like mobile space and online like that. But Sony said like, hey, they can clearly probably make some single player stuff, and we can see that. Like, I don't know if you have any interest in this AI limit game, but I actually kind of like the demo. So
AI Limit, I think I tried the demo.
it's a yeah. Well, they actually just released the demo again today, apparently, but because it was like a limited demo before, but they patched it, made some adjustments to it, so like that. I mean, it's kind of a Souls-like game, but it is.
Yeah. I played the demo of that. I was like, okay, it's kind of
It's a little janky, but
yeah. I would put that
I
like
liked what was there. I liked what was there.
it's like not Lies of P level, but it's not either like
It's
Enotria. It's kind of in the middle.
the one I could most compare it to was Code Vein, because Code Vein was the anime Souls-like, and that's kind of what it's trying to be. Code Vein, I think, actually was made by a Japanese studio, but I can't remember.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I played Code of Video. It's really anime. It's
very anime.
like,
Actually, the funny part was I actually have a Code Vein. I never once played it.
I haven't finished it, but yeah, it's Bandai Namco, like studios.
Yeah. Okay. So I could not remember who the developer was, or publisher was.
No, the publisher is Bandai Namco, but the developer is Bandai Namco Dev Studio.
Like, oh, okay. I didn't realize they were developers too.
Straight up from them.
Okay, that's interesting. I actually didn't know that. But also, from what I've seen, I don't know if maybe it's a globe-trotting thing, but it definitely looks like at least part of Expedition 33 takes place in France. I mean, they should.
I mean,
the cover
like,
has the Eiffel Tower, I think, doesn't it?
Like the wallpaper I have is like they are like warped Eiffel Tower and Champs-Élysées. So
now, whether it's all there or not, I don't know, but certainly it looks like at least part of it is. And I thought they did say that the main setting is in France. I thought.
I think it starts there, and then they go to like a special place where like the big like looming. We'll say God because it's a JRPG. You kill God at the end.
Right.
So where God is, like it seems to be like a more special place, like a.
Actually, I just happened to see Nissa said, I saw on another channel there's a game from Nigeria. I don't know about that necessarily, but I do know I mentioned about Sony's thing. Now that certainly China has started to find its footing, Sony's next what do they call it? I forget what they call that initiative. It's like there's a title for it, but they've started to really look into, if I'm not mistaken, South Africa, which is interesting because you do not hear about a lot of stuff being made there. And so certainly anywhere in Africa in general, you don't hear about a lot of stuff being made.
Yeah, and that's just you don't hear about it.
But sure, they exist. They exist, yes.
Like Brazil and like has a ton of games and mods and developers, and yeah, just check on the Discord. I'm pretty sure I posted it, like an article from someone that was explaining.
Game, you mean, or what?
Explaining like that the American media is focusing on what releases in America.
Oh yeah.
But it leads to some. I'll put it in quote, erasure of what's done elsewhere. Like, because the biggest games
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the biggest games in numbers are none of the games we talk about daily.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean,
they are in China, they are in Korea.
But to be fair, a lot of those also are not released outside of their native countries, which is why it works that way.
Yeah.
So, some of them are, but most of them are not. I mean,
but
most of the big stuff in China is
like
in China.
The economic reality from these countries that leads to that. Because a game like Call of Duty in Brazil costs you like multiple months of salary.
Right. Well, and also Brazil is a unique case study because Brazil also has some of the largest import taxes in the world. Like a PS4 costs like in US dollars like $1,300. Now, not when it came out now, because their import taxes are like 300 or 400%. So they tend to make a lot of stuff internally because they can't do it externally, but they don't tend to export that themselves. They tend to keep it within their borders, which is why you don't hear a lot of it. But that's not entirely the case. I mean, obviously there is certain things that they, but
yeah, I'm like you. Like I'm happy that like Sony, Xbox, Nintendo, not really, but like tries to like go outside of that, like of the US and Europe, try to bring back other creativity, like other stories, like Tales of Kenzera with the EA and the African myth and legends, like we almost never hear about.
Although Abu is, if I'm not mistaken, American actually, but
no, yeah, but
obviously still, of African heritage,
still,
yes.
And he still did a game representing like his origins.
Yeah, sure.
Wherever he lives now, or what citizenship he has.
Right. So yeah, you agree that we'll see a date and stuff like that too, then for
yes.
Expedition?
I think for the 3 games that we know for sure, like the 3 on the cover of the Dev Direct, we have a date, and we don't necessarily for the surprise one.
Yeah, it depends what it is. Although I'm trying to, what was
I mean, it could be an Hi-Fi Rush again and have a Shadow Drop. But...
Right. I would like to think. Who am I fooling? This is Xbox. I'd like to think they learned their lesson, but Xbox doesn't learn anything. So, but shadow dropping Hi-Fi Rush was probably not a good idea. Like, it was a cool thing, don't get me wrong, but it basically obliterated any potential of sales for it, coupled with Game Pass and all that stuff. So I know we talked about it briefly, but you then think that the surprise game is not going to be this Oblivion remake?
No.
No,
it's not a new game enough for me.
That's fine. I didn't ask you what you wanted it to be. I asked what you thought it would be.
Yeah, I think it's the new Toys for Bob game.
Okay. See,
especially riding on the Astrobot wave a bit.
I don't know if I can agree with that simply because I don't know if that game would be far enough through to be made to have any to show yet. I thought they only started working on it within the last handful of months.
That we know of, like when they, like we don't know what they did before that later, like saying they were leaving and still doing stuff for them. So
yeah, that's true. Okay, so anything else that you have to say on the developer?
No, you see, like it's coming fast anyway. So
yeah.
I just wish it wasn't at 1 p.m. Eastern because I will be at work.
It's also it's during the week if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, it's a Thursday. It's the
Thursday, January 23rd. Yep. Yeah, that is a weird time to do that.
Yeah, just do it at like 5 p.m. Pacific. You know,
do it on a weekend.
Oh yeah, on the weekend.
Like that.
I mean, yeah, it's not live. Like it's recorded.
Right. So. Right. I have no idea why they're doing that, but that is what it is. Thankfully, at work, I can usually. Those are usually.
It's a Thursday.
A half hour long. It is a Thursday. Yeah.
I might be able to like keep an eye on it.
You
know, on the side maybe.
All right. Well, we did have a few other. I don't want to say news, but I guess in terms of news, anything that really came up was Assassin's Creed Shadows getting delayed to March 20 something.
20.
Just 20th. Okay. Do you believe in what they said about like implementing feedback? Because I don't believe that. I think they looked and went, no, our studio relies on this game succeeding, and there's too much other shit coming out this month.
Yes,
which to be clear,
they should have done.
It is smart.
Yes, I think it's really business related. It's not on the Polish side of things. Though 1 month you can do stuff still.
You can,
but I don't think that's for that. Like you said, I think it's to get out of the February, out of Monster Hunter, out of Pirate Yakuza and Avowed and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and
everything. I mean, because again, I mean, it's not unrealistic to say Ubisoft's future rides on this game. This game has to succeed, or Ubisoft will have to sell. Like, there's no. They kind of almost already do, but there's a little bit of cushion there. if
Yeah,
Shadows fails, that studio is in trouble, and they
no,
have to do something
if it
then.
fails, if it fails, no, if it's doing well enough,
Mm-hmm.
they might still like buy some time,
Mm-hmm.
like for the next Far Cry or
Right.
whatever. But yeah, I think it's to get out of the way, have a bit
Mm-hmm.
more space for them. Um,
Is it a game you're interested in?
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I have
I'm buying it day one. Like, there's no question about it.
I have the collector's edition pre-ordered that has the Naue and Yasuke statue and stuff like that. Because
Yeah,
I used to always get the Assassin's Creed collector's editions that had the statues, but there ended up being so damn many after a while. I'm like, I can't get all these. But that statue is really freaking cool. I'm like, yeah, I'll get this one. This is a good one.
yeah, no, I'm playing that day one. That's for sure. Like,
Mhm.
I was already going to play day one last year because it was releasing on my birthday, and they pushed
Okay.
it, and I was sad.
Yeah.
Well, I was not sad because I didn't have a credit card for my birthday, so I couldn't have bought it.
Really?
Yes.
That went into November. Man, I didn't realize it was.
Yes.
I mean, I knew it was a long. I didn't realize it was that long.
Yeah. It
It was
was
like it was
slated
like 2 months
for
then.
mid-November, pushed back to mid-February. Now end of
That's
March.
that's right. I guess you couldn't buy anything on
No.
Black Friday, could you? Damn.
So yeah, I'm going to play it. I think it's a smart business move.
Mhm.
I think they should have done it earlier.
I probably agree. They probably waited a little too long to really do it.
Because like the lineup of games for February is known like
Oh, it's insane.
for some time now.
Yeah.
Pirate Yakuza moved their date, and they were
Mhm.
really clear that it was to get more space.
Kingdom Come moved forward as
Kingdom
well.
Come too did that. Like I think like every developer and studio and publisher want their all the games to succeed to a point. So that's why they kind of move around each other like that.
Mm.
So like why are you staying there if 1 month can give you more time to like do like the same amount of content that the
Sure.
patch day one
Mhm.
that would piss off everyone?
Mhm.
You just implement it in the game for release, and I think it's Captain Logan said that like on XCP, like the Star
Said
Wars
what again?
Outlaws from the release to the big patch of
Mhm.
gameplay
Mhm.
stuff was 5-6 months.
It was late August to around the same period. It's 3 months because it was November 23rd,
3 months.
I think. Yeah.
So here they take December, January, February, now March,
Mhm.
4 months. So that's the same amount of time it took them to fix Star
Mhm.
Wars Outlaws and have it in a state where like a lot of people are really happy with the game
Sure.
now.
Yeah. It's the state it should have been in when it launched. Yes.
Exactly. So maybe we have that now. Maybe
Yeah.
we don't go through that phase of it's not as it should have been, and in four
Mhm.
months it will be good.
Well, in terms of the original delay, that Ubisoft did specifically say Star Wars Outlaws did not release
No,
on a
the
finished state,
first
and
delay from November to
that is why we
February
are moving it. Yeah.
is for like fixing the game.
Mm.
That I'm sure of that. But the February March is not for fixing the game.
No.
It's for
Yeah,
fixing
exactly.
the business side of the
Right.
game.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that. Um, well, segue. You had mentioned about Kingdom Come. I guess we could talk about that briefly. So, again, we've talked about this slightly before the show. You're not quite as excited about this game as Clint and I are. Whereas the two of us, it's probably our. I can't speak for him, but I think he has also said it's probably his single most anticipated game this year. It's certainly in the top two for me, without a doubt. Well, today, as of I think it was about noon, the embargo lifted on early preview, whatever impressions, I guess you would say, from those that are doing reviews. So, for those who don't know, that actually the review copies they have had them for about a week, which is actually a very good sign because that game is still like 3 weeks away. And so they are
that's a big
clearly
game.
very confident in this game that they gave them a copy this early to review.
Well, there's confident, and there was also like the scope of the game,
Sure.
because
Although
if it's as
that
as
hasn't
big as
stopped
the
people
first one,
before. But the previews have been pretty overwhelmingly positive. Basically saying, like, if again, to be clear, if you like Kingdom Come, this is what you were waiting for. If you didn't like Kingdom Come before, this probably isn't going to do it for you. But what surprised, so the only one that I really watched, because I couldn't actually find a ton, but I saw Luke Stevens had done his, and I watched his. Now, also to be clear, what his was about, or what his preview impressions was not based. My understanding is it was not based off of the review copy that he's been playing, although he did admit that he was doing as much. But it was off of a 7-hour play session that a group of them had. It was in December, because he said actually when it was going on is when the Game Awards were going on. So whatever date that was when they were there. But his impressions were pretty glowing. He said, so first of all, like, he was surprised how polished it was, which anybody that played Kingdom Come Deliverance at launch knows that polished is not a word you could put towards that, because that game was very, very, very buggy at launch. And to be honest with you, it still kind of is. But you overlooked it because it was a newer studio, and the game is genuinely something pretty unique, right? But he said in his 7-hour play session, he only really encountered one true glitch that he could remember, and it was some weird graphical glitch, which he said had actually been seen in like preview videos, and that they claim they actually have already fixed anyway. But he said he liked the way that the combat is still the same method, which the same system rather, which was very different, because the game tries to be fairly realistic and authentic to the time period. And it's built entirely around trying to find an opening in your opponent's guard and all that stuff, right? But it could be a little clunky. It was an interesting idea that clearly was a work in progress, right? He said that it feels much smoother and much more refined now, while still having the same like strategy element to it, still being pretty tough. I mean, if you do it wrong, you're going to die fairly quickly. But long story short, it's very exciting to hear that people seem to really be saying, "Hey, this is, if Kingdom Come Deliverance was the prologue, this is the first game, right? This is what you've been waiting for." And it's like, okay, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. Is there anything you wanted to add on to that?
That's really good news. Like every indie studio, because that's what they are, even if they are big, like they're
not actually an indie, believe it or not. They're owned by Deep Silver, which is then owned by Embracer.
Okay, yeah. I still class them
not Deep Silver, not Deep Silver. They're owned by PlayOn, or one of the divisions of Embracer.
Okay.
But they were indie when the first game came out, though.
Yeah, that's why that it changed during. Okay, well.
Yeah.
Anyway, for me, indie is more like, anyway, my definition of indie is more about the creative liberty you have with your game. Like, if you don't have to answer to a board. Like, I really love the definition of Agro Crab. Like, it's really an indie studio. Their definition is, if tomorrow I wake up and I want to put sex in my game, nobody can tell me no.
Right.
And they did that for Kingdom Come Deliverance too, because the first trailer we saw had a sex scene.
It did indeed. And that's also interesting, because if you take into account the time period, sex, well, I guess technically, prostitution was around at that point, but
premarital
sex was pretty frowned upon in that time period.
The scene, we don't have context for the scene.
No, we don't. But from what little I saw, he did not look like Teresa, so I don't believe he's married.
I won't play that at release, because it's the 4th of release in 3 weeks, and I have to finish Mass Effect 3 because I started that and I want to see the end of that. I'll keep Andromeda for later because after 3 games, I think I'm going to be filled up with Mass Effect.
Well, beyond that, I think playing the trilogy and then jumping straight into Andromeda would make you realize how much worse of a game Andromeda is in comparison to the other 3.
So I have 3 weeks before Citizen Sleeper 2 comes out on the 31st. and that's a game I'm playing like day one. Like I come back from work that day and I'm in the game already.
Mm-hmm.
And I I won't finish that game in 4 days, but I might start Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 after Mass Effect 3.
Yeah.
So in about a week, and
I,
I
I
make
actually
sure
think you will like it actually quite a bit.
we'll see. Like I said, like when we talked before the show, I will like listen to the game a bit more, and I
Mhm.
will go in not expecting Skyrim in
Yeah, it's
medieval times,
yeah.
uh, which what I did on the first one.
Mm,
It's like my expectations clashed with the reality of the game, and
mm,
I didn't listen to the game,
right.
and that's on me. So
So,
maybe in
oh,
2 weeks
sorry.
I will have time to finish it, or at least
Mhm.
be excited enough for the
Yeah,
second one. We'll see. But February is really stacked, and
it's
so
crazy.
I expect that by the time I finish Citizen Sleeper and the first Kingdom Come, it will be Pirate Yakuza and Monster Hunter Wilds.
Mm,
So that
yeah,
might be pushed a bit.
understandable. Well, I'll just say real quick. I'd mentioned this to you, but to anybody listening, I assume with 2 coming out, there are going to be some people that choose to jump in to try the first one. So, just a tip is, as I assume most people that play it are probably going to be fans of the Oblivions and Skyrims and all that stuff, right? Um, go. I cannot stress this enough. You must listen to me on this. Go against what you know, which is to ignore the main quest as fast as you can. Ignore that. You, at the very least, you have to play through the main quest until Henry, your character, gets proper training in swordsmanship. After that, go do whatever you want. But up until that point, if you try to wander off, you are going to get obliterated in combat because the point is you're not trained. But he does. It's fairly early. It's only a couple hours in that he gets trained. But at the very least, mainline it until you get to that point. That way, then you can start working on your swordsmanship, all that and stuff like that, and you'll actually be able to hold your own to an extent. Um, so the only other thing I was going to bring up as a topic for us today is not too long before the show started. Actually, a whole bunch of rumors were popping up that some of this we kind of assumed and heard and all that stuff, but it's kind of getting a bit more legs. The whole I forget what it's called, but like the Xbox Anywhere initiative, whatever they call
The
it.
Project Latitude.
Yeah, that's it. Project Latitude. Um, rumor is that this came from Jez Corden as well as I can't remember who else, but quite a few sources who would have some contacts to give them this info, that a pretty good number of Xbox games are going to be announced to be coming to specifically PlayStation 5, but I mean you would think the Switch 2 will happen as well once that's officially confirmed. Um, and those include Halo Master Chief Collection, Gears of War, although I do not know specifically what Gears of War. I didn't see like the breakdown
I
of
think
what
I
it
saw
was.
Gears 1, but I
Like
mean
like
the
the
remaster.
ultimate version, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, Microsoft Flight Sim, Aura Stories Untold, and one other one.
Age
Oh,
of Empires.
no, I'm sorry. No, you're right. You're right. It wasn't Aria. It was that. It was Age of Empires.
Because Ara is not even on Xbox. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah. You're right. You're right. The other one was Hellblade 2. Now, Hellblade 2 does not surprise me at all because from day one, I was like, that's eventually coming to PlayStation.
yeah. I mean, Hellblade 1 came out on PlayStation first. So
Originally, right. Um, what's your take here? Because I have thoughts, which are not a secret, but I have thoughts.
I mean, it makes sense, like business wise. Like, I mean, why not? Uh, and I think putting Gears just one remaster in the Halo Master Chief Collection, but not in Infinite, I think it's also an effort to like recruit new players from PlayStation into Game Pass to play the other Gears and Infinite and the other ones like Hellblade, like you said, it's just uh, it's no brainer. It's like, of course, and it's also a technical showcase. So you can prove that Xbox Studio can make like high quality games visually. Age of Empire and Flight Sim, they are really niche, so it's not really a problem. It's not problematic anyway.
Yeah, Flight Sim, I'm not overly surprised in. I can't say I necessarily expected that one, but I wasn't
No, me
too
neither. But
surprised
I
by
mean,
it when it was
and it works on streaming technology most.
right.
So
Particularly 2024, right?
yeah. So I'm not surprised. I think it's not a bad move. I don't think so. Like it's not like selling out Xbox to PlayStation because it's Halo and Gears. They are really old games, like Master Chief Collection. Like it goes to Halo 5. When was that?
Halo 5 was 2015, I think, something like that.
10 years ago.
Well,
You
Master
can
Chief Collection was older than that technically, but
no, but I mean it's just a collection of the old games.
well, right.
So
Master Chief Collection was obviously the launch title for the one, so that would have been 2013.
yeah. So I mean it's not surprising. It's not a bad move, I don't think. And I think it's really an effort to a visibility effort. Like hey, we're here. We have good shooters. You like that, right? And then come to Game Pass. We have the new ones. Like see how the old ones are good. We have the new ones. We have Gears E-Day coming.
So my take is I agree with you on what the mindset is. I agree with you that the idea is, hey, we're going to try and get you into Game Pass, whatever that way. Uh, However, now I'm not talking Hellblade, which, like I said, I assumed from day one was going to come eventually anyway. I'm not talking Microsoft Flight Sim, and I'm also not talking about Age of Empires, which that one I am surprised simply because I didn't know if there's that much of an audience for that on console. But
Well, apparently the console port they did works really well. They really did a really good job with the
well, it
controls.
works well and has an audience for two different things too.
Yeah.
Like I just don't know how much of an audience there is for a game like that on console. There most certainly is on PC. I just don't know how much on console. However, I do believe that it is an enormous mistake to bring Halo and Gears to a competitor. I that includes Switch. I really think that is the type of game that you have to keep in your, even if you don't want to have the walled garden, which clearly Xbox does not. I do believe you have to have that in your walled garden, so to speak, to have some kind of identity for your console. I realize that not everybody thinks that way, and that's fine, but I have never, will never, and cannot really understand the concept of I don't believe in exclusives because exclusives are what make a platform. If there's no exclusives, then what's the point of having multiple platforms?
It's what like makes them define them at the start, but like for old games like that, I think you can spare them and advertise. You just advertising on other people's platform to bring them into the new one. So
Well, I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong, but
and just
when did you see Nintendo releasing the original Zelda anywhere but on their own platform? That includes on PC. Now Nintendo also refused to adapt. I understand that, but all I can say is this: everyone, like people that are in favor, are like, well, this is clearly the way the market's going. Those people are wrong because it's not. It's only going that way with one console manufacturer, not the other two. Going to PC, yes, that I do believe is something that they will both end up. Well, I don't know about Nintendo,
no,
but Sony clearly are doing. But I do not believe whatsoever that anybody other than an Xbox is going to be releasing their main stuff on competitors because
no,
Xbox is the only one doing it. So that doesn't mean it's the future.
But that's the thing. It's like Halo and Gears are the identity of the Xbox platform, not the Xbox console.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's where we're at.
That's what we are going for.
This is something Clint and I have said, on numerous occasions. Is the reality is, Xbox is no longer a console. Xbox now is.
They are not a console maker anymore. They are a publisher
Yeah.
that happens to make a console if you want it.
Which is why, and I mean,
because
if that's the direction they want to go,
following Microsoft's model.
Right? If that's the direction they want to go,
Windows
so be it.
operation.
But then I don't understand why they insist on saying, "Yeah, we have another console coming." It's like, well, why would anybody buy it? I don't understand. Why would anybody buy it?
Because some people buy Surface tablets, and if you don't subsidize your console, if you sell it at even if you don't make money on your console or very little, you don't subsidize it to games or Game Pass. Why not propose it? Why not develop it and sell it?
Well, I mean, that's the
point. You just offer another option to your consumers.
I understand why they're going more the publisher route, because the reality is it's not working for them in console sales. I don't understand why they insist on continuing to do the consoles. That and by that I don't mean the Series X and S, which are obviously already out.
Yeah, no,
but I don't understand why they're wasting. I mean, it takes billions to R&D a new console, right? I don't understand why they're doing it when they're selling less and less and less consoles every single generation. Like, when I saw the numbers the estimated numbers that have come out as to how poorly the Series X and S have done, when leading into that generation, let's not forget, like, Microsoft had all the momentum because they were doing all the right stuff, right? And it still didn't matter. It's selling worse than the Xbox One, which sold dreadfully. It's like, I just don't understand the insistence on sticking with the hardware. It would make more sense to me to just go, hey, the Series X and S is going to be our final.
I think they insist on it for next gen because they already had something way in development. Because that's how that works.
Yeah, you could be right.
Your next gen is already in development when you release your next gen.
They were already so far through development.
They were.
That could be. That's a good point.
So they continue to insist on that one, but they never talked, and even PlayStation doesn't. Yeah. You're not talking about the PS7, Xbox, what? Omega after the Prime? I don't know.
The Xbox Series Xbox.
Yeah. So that's why I think they continue to insist on that, because they were already way in advance on the development. So there is no reason not to release it and try to make money out of it.
Yeah, I mean that's a valid point. I don't know. Personally, Xbox just is 100% going in a direction that I am not a fan of at all. I realize they're making money, but I think that leadership group has to go badly. I think all three of them got to get thrown out on their ear, but to each their own.
I mean, if they're bringing money to Satya and the shareholders, that's all they're asking.
No, you're right.
And I'll say just because I'm a bit like you, I think, on that, is that on some series and franchises, I play them on a system.
Absolutely, yes. Exactly.
Even if it makes no sense or it's everywhere else. Mm-hmm. Like, I try to start the Pixel Remaster on Steam on my PC. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I bought them back on my PlayStation.
Mm-hmm. Well,
because for me, Final Fantasy is on the PlayStation.
I've always mentioned Metal Gear. Like, the only place to play Twin Snakes was on GameCube, and it felt so wrong to not play it on a PlayStation platform, just because in my head, now I don't care if it is elsewhere, that's not what I mean. I just mean, like, to me, Metal Gear is so intrinsically tied with PlayStation at this point, it didn't feel right for me to play it anywhere else, right?
Yeah.
But
so I just wonder, like, how common is that feeling? And how many people will just buy the next Xbox to play Halo and Gears just because they always have been on Xbox, even if they are available on PlayStation?
Yeah, you could be right, but I'm just looking at it more on when sales are going down every generation. Like I understand what you're saying with people sticking with their platform and all that stuff, But clearly with Xbox, that's not happening because even the people that were on it before aren't sticking with it now. They're going somewhere else.
Yeah,
And
but I just think like because they were really far in development for the next gen.
no, you're right. I hadn't thought of that because the reality is like they do start R&D as soon as the other one's out. So
and maybe they didn't start on the next gen, so they won't have one.
Yeah, that's a good point. That they
and that would make sense also for them because they really want to push cloud gaming. So I'm sure for them you have next gen still hardware and then cloud after that.
Yeah.
We see what the future holds.
It's interesting. Yeah. Only time will tell, obviously, which direction.
Yeah, and I mean, like it's still like you have still 2 or 3 years of this gen, and then another 6-7 years of next gen before that happens.
Yeah.
So you have a good decade to see it coming. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think unless you have something else you wanted to add, I think that's going to just about do it for us. I have a cookie. Don't worry.
I don't have cookie sellers here. I don't have fortune cookies around me.
That's not what I meant. I just meant you don't have to worry. I do have it. I know you always think I forget, but all right. Well, let's see what we got here. Try to not get crumbs on my computer desk this time. Drives me crazy. All right. Let's see what we got here. Follow the advice of your heart. That seems very vague. But
a lot of people are going to get punched in Mass Effect 3.
Yes. Exactly. Punch that reporter like you have never punched a person before.
Oh, funny stuff because I punched the reporter in Mass Effect 2, and then a bit later in the game, I was watching like the Shadow Broker feed, and then she pops up and she gets punched by a Krogan.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
That was so good.
Throughout the series, you will notice they will. I mean, you might not know all of the jokes like from the community because you weren't playing it at the time, but they do actually reference like the different jokes that the community picks up on. Like apparently a specific example. Remember how I mentioned you that the Conrad Werner thing is bugged with Mass Effect 2? Yeah. Apparently, they actually make a joke about that in 3. I don't know what it was because actually I always screw up and I missed the final trigger with him or whatever, so he doesn't show up in 2 and 3 for me. So I don't remember what it was.
No, I didn't see it in 2 either. Like
well, you made no, you finished 2. That's right. Never mind.
Yeah, no,
yeah, you might have missed the final conversation with him then.
Yeah, he took a picture of me and then I never talked to him again.
Yeah, there's one more. It's one where you decide if you point a gun at him or whatever. Yeah, I guess in 3 they actually specifically make a joke about him remembering incorrectly whether you pointed a gun at him or not because again it always thinks you did, and that's just an example. But they do that a few times. Like they will make. There's something with like Voluses that they make a joke about them and stuff like that. So it can be pretty self-referential, which is pretty funny. But all right, everyone. Well, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll be back next week with Lord Master Clint. He'll be hosting again. I'll be back in the co-host seat.
I'll be back in chat watching you.
So
modding the chat.
Find you?
Well, you can find me at Silcanit, mostly on Blue Sky and Discord. A bit everywhere.
Yeah, Butch4969 here. As you can see, I can't do this right there. So, all right, guys. See you later.
See you.
Hit the wrong button. There we go.